Hi, Patrick. I wanted to do this deeper dive into the Mayan day sign of serpents. And this is your day sign, if you remember. I think you still remember. The Serpent Day sign is the fifth sign or archetype within the Mayan Tzolkin, which is a calendar system that has 20 signs and a 13-week cycle, which gives us a 260-day Tzolkin cycle. And in a way, I like to think about the Tzolkin as the train of thought of reality or creation or God, whatever you rather call it. We move with it. We are it. It moves through us. We move through it. And it's essentially illustrating the attributes of the spiral of consciousness, right? That we all partake in and that we all are. So, your essence embodies the essence that the ancient Maya people called the serpent sign or chikan in the Yucatan language. And I just want to go into it a lot more deeper than I did before last fall or winter. So without further ado, let me just jump into it for you. Okay. And how I'm going to do this, I am going to. Hold on a second. Yeah, how I'm going to do this, I'm going to go off of some already available sources out there and some that you may already know, but I'm also going to go much more deeper and show you the spider webs, the threads that may not be seen readily by, the average reader and whatnot. So let me jump into it. Serpent sign, also known as Chikan in Yucatan language. So out the bat, people might look at this kind of person as being very stable or extremist, which is somewhat ironic because those two seem to sound a bit, opposite to each other in some regard. Also seen as powerful and charismatic, having strong emotions or personal forces that can affect other people very deeply. Why they're seen as extremists, I'll get into that later on as I dive deeper into these things. The charisma is a very noticeable thing, though, among people with serpent energy. And the reason being, I'll get there. Okay, let me just give you the surface shit first, the surface stuff. Serpent people also have a strong body or body wisdom and may tend to like sports or dancing or even yoga, just things or practices that involve the body. And when I say yoga, I guess in this instance I'm referring to um, slow moving body postures type yoga. All right. So there's that, their body wisdom, and being able to be very sensual within the body. Also having strong mental skills as well, and being able to handle stress too, more so than most people. There's an interest in science and reading, or just uncovering the network of information within things. And I'll touch on that later as well. Everything I'm mentioning right now, I'm going to touch on them in a much more deeper way as I go forward. And also, more importantly, the ability to uncover information that is stored within the genes, like genetic memory or memory that's stored within the tissues of the body, that kind of stuff. You're able to pull from the bodily archives of data or information, kind of like if your body was a whole memory card or something like that, right? And you can kind of tie in the idea of science, right? Science involves a certain level of inquiry, wanting to know, and the fact that this was paired with having a strong body and liking sports and pretty much the body wisdom here. So you can kind of think of exploring energetically the science of the body and the information that the body has as well, being able to read the body energetically and psychically and pull information from it. It can be memories, it can be insights, it can be even ancestral things from the past, right? That resonate still very strongly to you because it's within, you're pulling it straight from the genes, you're pulling it straight from the body. Okay. Moving on. What else does it say here? Very noticeable. Definitely a very noticeable person. Seems seemingly striking. Um, would I say striking of a persona or presence? I would say I'll get into that. There's an energetic reason behind this charisma and all of that. Actually, let me just go and go full, break it down as I see it right now. Alright, so remember when I talked about Koyopa, what the Mayans call Koyopa or body lightning, right? The Earth, Wind, and Fire have a song called Serpentine Fire. What we're dealing with here is the life force energy of the essence of who you are, down to the soul, down to pretty much the universal life force or your bubble of life force that makes up your bubble of who you are within this cosmic grand reality or existential state of everything. Hopefully that was not too much of a mouthful. But what I'm trying to get to here is that what we're talking about when with regard to the body lightning or the Koyopa is that subtle, and strong, I would say strong as well, very powerful life force energy. It's kind of like if your soul that sits within below the navel at the base of the spine was shining through your bodily system, shining through your meridian, shining through your nervous system like juice, flowing through. If you could imagine your body filled with thousands and thousands of meridians, energetic meridians is actually about 72,000 energy meridians within the body, and if you could imagine like them spread out like a system of nerves, right? And you could imagine energy flowing through them. It would look like sheets of lightning flashing through. Kind of why they call it body lightning or lightning within the blood. Okay, just for that imagery right there. And I wanted to tie this to things like how it can make someone charismatic. Let me start with what's simple first, okay? When you got this energy flowing through the body, it creates a strong awareness of the body, right? It creates, or if one has a strong or high enough level of body lightning or Koyopa flowing through, there is a certain ease of movement. There's a certain ease of, when I say ease of movement, I mean, well, that's simple enough, right? I'm trying to find the right words and the right metaphors here. Okay, think about how you feel like when you're in that sleepy state, right? And the body feels good. You're not stressed out. You're relaxed, right? When you have a certain level or kind of energy within you, the body tends to be more relaxed. You tend to feel more relaxed. You tend to feel less friction. Okay, it's kind of like when you have a lot more money in the bank, you got less worries. You kind of walk different. You kind of you might have an extra step in your walk or something like that. So this Koyopa, this body lightning, comes from, let's say, for the sake of understanding, it comes from the energy of the soul that is resting at the base of the spine. And the soul, you can imagine it to be like unlimited energy kind of thing. Think about it as having a limited amount of money in the bank. You got no worries, you got no stress, right? So when you have a certain surplus of subtle energy flowing through you, right, you can kind of withstand a lot more of the wear and tear of life. So stress doesn't seem to hold on. You can shake away stress a lot more easily than other people can, right? You can handle like stressful situations with a certain level of calm and peace that other people may not necessarily have, or they may be like, oh, you are strong minded for going through that. That's one way to describe it. Another way to describe this ease or this relaxation, is, for example, if you're having sex, right? A certain The energy that's flowing through you is also that Koyopa. It's that life force energy, also represented through the creative sexual energy as well, that you have flowing through your body, and the act of sex, that orgasmic state, even, is a state of bliss. It's a state of there's a kind of body tension there, but really what comes after that is a deep state of relaxation, a deep state of release. I'm trying to paint a picture here for you. Okay, I'm trying to paint a picture here. And especially if you're connected to your body and you're sensitive to how your body feels in different states, different times, different activities, you know, that orgasmic juice or energy is similar in some instances to how you feel, like I said before, when you're kind of in light sleep, maybe in the morning, and it's a nice rainy day, and you just got that perfect posture and you feel it flowing through, that nice subtle bliss or subtle just sweet spotness going on. Yeah, that's the kind of energy I'm talking about, right? And it helps with stability. It helps with that mental calmness, not being able to be too stressed out. And when you think about how you feel in this state, there's a deep connection with the body too, which also ties into the ideas of bodily wisdom, you know. And when you think about when this energy is heightened, or when you're more aware of it, how energetic you might feel, like when you're in that orgasmic state, there is a strong field of energy around you, you know, and you feel it. There's a certain kind of energy that people would call it charisma. If they're around you and they sense your energy, they be like, oh, you're kind of charismatic. They might like to follow you, they might like to listen to what you have to say. They might, for some reason, whether they know it or not, see you as somewhat of an authority on some things, you know. They might see you in an authoritative light, even if maybe you don't want that kind of attention, or you prefer to be more reserved. There's this certain essence of charisma, right? When you think of charisma, it's like the guy or the girl that people admire or are attracted to for some reason, whether it's conscious or unconscious. And for people who have serpent energy going on, it could be an unconscious level of attraction or admiration, which leads to, especially if a lot of people have it for you, it then leads into, oh, this person's charismatic, because a lot of people admire him for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? And it's really because of that field of sexual energy that's going on, that field of bodily, that lightning in the blood, that Koyopa, that life force energy. People are hardwired to be attracted to life and life force, right? When you eat well, when you eat foods that are high in life force energy, high in what the Hindus would call prana, your body feels different. You feel more lively, or you feel more at ease. You feel more lighter. You know, there's a certain field of energy that you kind of start to embody that feels better. It feels more, oh, I like this. I like this a lot more. And I didn't know, but it's a different state of energy, state of mind. So imagine people around serpent folks and sensing something like that in some regard. That's what I'm getting to. Okay, because of that life force bubble around you is strong, because your Koyopa is strong. I hope that made sense to tie into why some people might find serpent folks to be charismatic. You know. Also, the fact that you're You have body wisdom, might be into sports. If you're a girl, you might be a very awesome dancer. That adds even more reason for people to like, anchor their admiration for you in. But there's some folks who have serpent energy who might not be into who may not be quote unquote that impressive, but still people like fall for them or fall on their faces for them or are just attracted to them for whatever reason. And some folks are like, why do these girls like this guy? Or why do these guys like this? Like why does everyone rate this nigga? And it's like you can't put your finger on it, but it's one of those things that it's a subtle, even unconscious, energy that's going on. Also, what goes on with Koyopa is, like I said, passion is there. I can even think about the orgasmic passion within sexual intercourse, um, or when you have that energy flowing through you, it makes you feel more passionate. It makes you feel more livelier. So definitely, it's like a fire in you, spreading through you. So passion's there. Um, what else is there here? Strong instincts, of course. Strong instincts too, because it's deeply connected to the body and the meridians of the body. So definitely, instincts are gonna be heightened. It's part of body wisdom, and this also makes you a natural leader as well. And you are like a bridge between the limited world and the spiritual yearning. So, because this energy essentially comes from the spiritual dimension of you or of the serpent person, there's definitely when you get to the core of it, spiritual truths wanting to be discovered or known. So, serpent people also carry high spiritual potential that can make you psychic or even a spiritual leader or a dreamer or, things within that category as well. Those potentials are very much uh, available to people who, if they lean towards that, they're good. Also, there's intense energy within your eyes, right? And this also can add to the charisma as well. But serpent people, they may be able. If you look into their eyes, there's something interesting about their eyes. It's like, and Patrick, even your eyes have a thing to them too. Uh, Hopefully, someone has already told you about this, but your eyes have a certain. It's kind of like, how would I describe it? It's almost like looking at the moon if the moon was aware and looking back at you. Or maybe that's not the right terminology or metaphor. Sorry. Uh, but it's kind of like looking at an animal that is falling asleep, but it's awake and very much aware, and it could like strike you at any moment. That kind of thing. Almost like looking at snake eyes or something. But snake eyes aren't really, whatever. Anyway, intense energy in the eyes. Uh, some Maya people would say that they are afraid of serpent people because they have a tremendous force, again called Koyopa or Kundalini, which is already awakened within you to some extent. Uh, Again, like I said, and I'm reading on here, the energy of the serpent is also about sexuality and a strong passion, which can sometimes be overwhelming. And if it tips into the shadow side, which is the unbalanced side, it can feel like you may uh, always be in pursuit of fulfilling your bodily, sensual, or sexual desires, and can lead you to feel like a slave to your desires and stuff like that. So definitely some being able to learn how to have balance in this area. If the shadow sides come through, can be helpful to balance and organize these forces within you in a more harmonious way. Uh, Also, this my mind sign whatever goes into saying that a challenge could be to consciously experience powerful transformations. Probably spiritual, but I'm gonna leave it like that as how they worded it over here. And the remedy is to learn and develop wisdom. And we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into some of the things about because it said here off the bat the personality of these people are stable, extremist, powerful, charismatic. strong emotions that can affect others deeply, and that's also because of that life force energy being very much heightened within you. uh, some people are able to project that upon others and affect their energy or their emotional states and whatnot. Yeah. Anyway, let me go on. I have another resource to go into that has also a lot of insight. This is, by the way, part one. There's a part one and there's also part two. Part two, I get into a lot more deeper energetic aspects of this energy or of this archetype, you know. And part one is kind of deep, but it's deep enough for most people's needs. Or how do okay, part one is kind of deep. Part two is deep, deep, deep. Okay, deep, deep, deep. I'm gonna just leave it like that. All right, so moving on. We touched on Koyopa. We touched on the body lightning, and I would also kind of describe this force as a flow, as a current or a heat wave, in a sense. Cause I'm thinking about the passion, I'm thinking about the fire, right? And I think I gave you a visual metaphor for the body lightning because of the whole meridian example, and if you could imagine the nervous system lit up, it would look like lightning. So there you go, lightning or lightning in the blood. These are visuals to help you understand or paint a picture, right? We're talking pretty much around it, but not exactly it. Is existential. It has to be experienced, and you are pretty much embodying the experience of this essence because it is primarily yours, or you are primarily in the essence of Chikan, the serpent. You know what I'm saying? And it's sort of like as a community of people, we kind of share or reflect different aspects of the divine or of reality. Some people are with the crocodile spirit, are of the dog spirit, are of the jaguar, some are the owl, the earth, water, um, death, like a girlfriend, which is not a bad sign. I gotta say that again. So it's a beautiful, tapestry of life to see different people embodying different aspects of the consciousness of reality. And hopefully they do the best they can to master the essence that they are because they get to share that with others. You know what I'm saying? And it's great. Uh, anyway, moving on. Um, have I explained why the serpent is the animal chosen to represent this energy? I don't think I've really gotten into that per se. I'll let it come to me if I'm able to get around to that point. Also known as serpent power. Actually, it just came to me right now. I'll say this. All right, okay. The serpentine energy, like I said, is life force. It's a life force energy from the soul, or what I can at least call the soul right now. Okay, talking around it, not really describing it. It's just giving you a way to look at it. It's pretty much like what the Hindus would say. It's coiled up. What the Hindu yogis, I should say, the Hindu yogis, how they described it, or even the ancient folks who had the ability to see. When I say see, I mean to see beyond the physical field and into the more energetic field, right? They're able to see that at the base of the spine there was a coiled up energy, and when that energy rises up like a cobra rising up tall out of its coiled up position, it rises up through the spinal column. Okay, and the spinal column is like representative of that snake that is rising up. So there you go. On some level, the whole serpent analogy. Hope this makes sense. So pretty much, it's like within the form and movement of the serpent or the snake, you have the whole explanation of what this energy is pretty much doing. You know, a serpent also has 10,000 muscles. Most snakes, I believe. So they have an intense level of condensed energy. The human body has about 2 or 4,000, I think, muscles, but snakes have 10,000, 14,000 muscles, and their bodies are even more smaller than ours. So imagine all that energy just condensed into that form. Think about it. It's a tight resource. So definitely very much seated within their bodies, within, in that way. I hope I'm making this make sense. Alright, so I touched on Koyopa, and to a certain extent, it's already activated within people of Chikan, of Serpent, and it can also be developed through more powerful spiritual experiences and practices as well. The Koyopa is also a communicative medium between different dimensions of reality, or even spirits, to interact with human beings, because it's kind of like you have an inner light that's glowing, and you are now more visible to those in non-ordinary fields of reality or non-physical fields of reality. So even ancestors can kind of see a bit more clearly. Spirits can see more clearly if the energy has been awakened and is flowing to a certain degree. It's like if you're looking up at I'm chewing on my words again. If you're looking up at the sky and you can see flashes of lightning, you're like, oh, there, it catches your attention. That's kind of like people with Koyopa, and how different deities and spirits, if you were to be a shaman or a mystic or a healer, or someone within the spiritual ranks, if you will, you need to have your Koyopa activated to a certain level, because you need to be seen by the certain spirits and deities you're interacting with, and it's pretty much the medium. It's pretty much like, because they're tapping into the essence of who you are. When you go beyond the physical, you go into a more subtle realm where, let's not go into that too much right now. Alright, so moving on. Like I said here, that it says the Kundalini is coiled at the base of the spine. I just said that. The awakening of this energy is, for most people, at death. Um, yeah, when they die. So it's better to have this energy awaken during your life, so that you come to realization. This is like a general statement for most people, and this is what spirituality is actually meant to do. Spirituality comes from the soul. It helps to it's meant to awaken the soul and help the soul become realized again, self-realized again. To come to realization of your true nature, which is sort of like tangent I tried to get away from just now. Anyway, this is the what the vital and very necessary awakening that people have to come to, the remembrance of their true nature. What else I got for you here? It's also, oh yeah, it says here the inner fire Koyopa allows one to be able to build both physical and spiritual strength, or psychic strength. Yeah, yeah. So it's not, because people may have this thing where being more spiritual, forget about the body. The Mayan people never had that kind of perspective, and a true mystic would never tell you that your body does not matter, because even when you look into this energy, it does help the body become stronger. It does help people become more wiser with their bodies, be able to understand it and interpret what's going on within their bodies, more instinctively, more passionately. It involves the passions of the bodies. It involves, again, sexual creative energy and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to get that misconception out the way. The part where the other resource said that certain people like to go to extremes or are extremists, think more about the idea of passion. That not really. Some people may call you extremists, but you're actually very passionate. And the truth is, your passion is really about finding the ultimate truth, which is what you really care about. Like I said, you have this current of energy, this life force flowing through you. It gives you a heightened sense of passion, and people might see, um, what did I say? A heightened sense of passion, a heightened sense of life force or body wisdom. Um, yeah, think about the energy of the fire or that passion. But again, the sense to go to the extremes is actually wanting to go to the ultimate truth, as mirrored with the fact that this very powerful energy, it actually comes from the essence of who you are. It's your essence, it's your life force. And life is the existential reality that everyone is trying to understand who the fuck they are and what the fuck life is. You know, so you're basically trying to. This energy is trying to understand what it is, and it is what you are. So you are trying to understand what you are, and it could be sometimes when people are exploring certain topics or ideas to the extreme degree, they may not know on the subconscious or, let's say on a subconscious level or unconscious level what they're actually truly looking for. They may be very intense into, hell bent on science, and they look for wisdom within science. This is why the other resource said that they may like to read a lot or go into science. Again, it's that quest for wisdom, it's that quest to know. Life wants to know the nature of its own essence, which is life. Is it weird? Is it ironic? Is it funny? One I often say that there's two things that are extremely valuable. That I don't know what is more valuable than this: to be alive and to know that you are alive. Like that's very fundamental in a sense. And there's a what? How can we describe it? There is this wanting to know, and it's very serious. At their best, they exemplify a search for the deepest levels of truth. Their energetic connection with the Koyopa or Kundalini, enhanced with the mysteries of the universe, virtually guarantees that they will be seekers of wisdom. Often, this quest for wisdom gives them a scientific bent. Science, at its best, is another form of seeking the ultimate truth of reality, which attracts mystics as well. Oops, it's about to rain out here, so I gotta go back inside. I don't like this, but I have to obey because my iPad, I don't want to lose it. This shit was expensive. Alright, give me a moment. And my tea is getting cold. Okay, so also says here that Chican natives possess abundant energy and are very active. That's a nice way to offer another perspective to that passionate or intense energy within the body. Being being very active. Uh, yeah. So, and here is why I like to go to the reasoning behind what people might say about certain folks if they're deeply into, let's say, science, right? It's definitely at the core of it, a quest for the truth, a quest to understand life, which is the energy that, is very heightened within them, that life force, that presence within the body. It all comes together. It all comes back together. Also, another thing, okay. Chikan or serpent people are extremely honest and sincere. Sometimes they can be very blunt, like with the truth, and yes, say it as it is. My mother, she's a serpent sign, so she never hold back her tongue. She's just gonna say it as it is. She gonna say it as she sees it. You know. Um, and often this can kind of like make, if a child has serpent energy, it can kind of make adults feel uncomfortable. I know a dude who, he would always correct his teachers because he had the energy with them, and they sometimes didn't like it because he would expose them. He would expose the hypocrisy, but he would just call it as it is, like it's right there. So extreme honesty is definitely part of serpent energy. Um, and in a way, if I can, if I'm able to remember the energetic, let's say, reasonings for this, man, I had it just a moment ago. I'm gonna give you a metaphor again, right? Body wisdom, being comfortable within your body, or even when you're intimate with sex, right? And you have that passion flow through you, flow through your body. That life force, sexual energy going through you, and you're basically naked with your girl, or if whatever. Sometimes I say if you're naked with a guy, because I might post this and other people, boys and girls, I mean guys and women might listen to this, so I just wanted to be, accommodating for everyone or anyone who might listen to this, but I'm primarily making this for you, Patrick. Anyway, so when you're naked and you're fucking, there's a certain level there. I mean, not a certain level. You are basically vulnerable, and it's like you can't be ashamed to be naked and fucking. It don't go together. You're just open. You are who you are. You come as you are, kind of thing. It's like there's nothing to hide. With that level of physical bodily connection, and you're like you're not really hiding anything. And if you did, it would ruin the mood. So take that example of nothing to hide within the essence of body wisdom and this uh, energy that's flowing through serpent people, and translate that to extreme honesty when they're talking to other folks. Does that kind of make sense? Am I tying the threads together here? Am I making the knot make sense? Do you follow the energetic footprint of this thing? Okay. I think I'm still trying to find an even better way to explain that point. Maybe it'll come to me. I should just keep going forward. It also says here that people may look at them as authority figures because of their intense energy. It kind of goes back to the charisma thing too, right? But they might sometimes avoid the limelight, preferring the status of power behind the throne. Again, when they talk about this intense energy, it gives you a sense of boldness too. It can give you a sense of what's the problem, you know? Let me give you the sense of you're so mentally relaxed, you don't find the issue of being, truthful to a certain extent. It might come easier for certain people to just be truthful, to just let it out, Again, it's like it's like people usually don't say the truth because they might feel embarrassed or ashamed, and the frequency of shame is opposite to the frequency of authenticity, to the frequency of the essence of who you truly are. You know what I'm saying? Because the life force essence of who you truly are is flowing through you in a way that it's more present, or you're more present, or you're more aware of its presence. It just along those lines, you basically default to not having the shame to say certain things. Does that kind of make sense too? Again, I'm just trying to tie these things together. Like it all comes together when you really think about it. And I'm just trying to do my job to explain it the best way I can to you. Okay, I got a bit more left for you. And this is just part one. This is just part one. Also says here the Koyopa force can make you excellent psychics or healers. I kind of explained that already. Uh, and what? Okay, in the physical body, Chikan corresponds to the nervous system, which houses and carries the powerful energy of the feathered serpent. The feathered serpent is it's Quetzalcoatl in the Maya, spiritual traditions and culture. I don't know if I should get into that right now. I just want to get more, fundamental with this one. If you want to know more about Quetzalcoatl, just hit me up and I'll try to give you more information about it. It also says here they like to read and are good with computers. Many of them are naturally endowed with an innate gift for cybernetic technology. I'm gonna leave that there for you to kind of think about in light of all the other things I mentioned before. Oh, I love this point. Though often they often look or seem to be very reserved, and some people may think that they don't express themselves much or can't. Uh, huh. Very reserved. It's like you're not the loudest person in the room, and you don't need to be. You know. And it's not even that hard for you to get attention either if you wanted it. Serpent people don't have to fight for attention, usually, so why not be reserved? I mean, you can afford to. Just having my tea. Could I go back to the energetic reason about it? Okay, think about a snake. Think about how a snake is reserved, coiled up in its corner, just doing its thing. But if need be, it can jolt and bite you. It could, because they move pretty fast. But okay, why they bite is if, okay, now I'm going into this other thing where they are sensitive to matters of injustice or unfairness, and they can just come out with the justice and impartiality of Mother Nature and teach you a lesson. Bite somebody, let the error be known. Kind of like a snake, just don't cross the snake, don't fuck with a snake, right? And it kind of goes like with the extreme honesty, the extreme or very comfortable with being honest. They might be very comfortable as well with giving you a nice clap back, telling you when you're fucking up. Okay, I don't know if that helps the whole reservation part or helping to understand that they're so reserved. But think about again a cobra or a snake that's coiled up, and its position just calm, relaxed. Oh, of course, that's the word I was looking for. Because Koyopa gives the body and the mind a higher sense of relaxation. It's like it's easier for you to kind of sit back within yourself, and you may seem more reserved. Thank goodness I finally understood why or how to connect these points together. So that's why people may see you as reserved. Again, a good analogy is a snake coiled up, just dwelling within its own energy. Okay. Chicano people also possess a very powerful and intense sexual energy, and many will be drawn to them because of this energy. I already went over that. Some natives of this day sign are just as powerful intellectually as they are sexually, or I guess within their bodies. With its deep need to investigate the mysteries of the universe, Chikan is the archetype of the sexy scientist. This is a nice one. This is really, really a really nice one. And you know what? Western culture has kind of had this idea of scientists being, nerdy and like fucking bent out of shape and shit. Because all they did, like all their fire is intellectually based, and they don't really care about the bodies, or their wives at home, or the kids. Just head into their work or their science, and fuck everything else. They're just so obsessed and invested in their science and in their that kind of shit, right? But the Chikan is totally different. The serpent energy is like the sexy scientist, kind of like Tony Stark. Tony Stark is a good, to some degree, example of Chikan because he has charisma, he has again that scientist thing, the sexy scientist kind of thing going on, but he is not reserved. I wouldn't necessarily call him reserved. He's very egotistical. So, and that's kind of like more of the death sign kind of person. And the death sign comes after the serpent sign, which, huh, who would have thought? Anyway, I don't want to mix too much of the wrong ingredients together and, spoil this whole thing up. Mm. So, one of the shadow aspects of serpent people is that they can be conservative, too conservative, bossy, and lord it over other people to the point of oppression, often without realizing it. Uh, they like to test people and maybe addicted to comfort. Not too sure exactly what they mean here. Maybe they want to prove how good other people are, or just I guess test people in general. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it the way it was said here. I'll describe and go into more deeper what I can get into. Mm. While many individuals will be satisfied merely with a comfortable life, serpent people are compulsively driven to seek ultimate answers. I like this because this is what you talk about concerning your coworkers all the time. How they're so fucking comfortable clocking in and clocking out. Their whole life is work, and they're like, you're like, don't they think there's more than this? Don't they think, like, how are you so satisfied? It's like, come on, man, come on. Yo, this is you right here, 100%. When you see people comfortable with not letting their minds expand beyond what has been placed in front of them, or the very simple whatever, it kind of gets under your skin. Like, how the fuck? Because you are driven to seek the ultimate answers, almost compulsively so. But there's a level of consciousness that or intelligence rather, that inclines you to be this way. And you would like to see other people wanting to investigate the ultimate answer, the existential, uh, like what's at the core of this shit? You know what I'm saying? Like what's at the bottom of this shit? What is really at the core of life? I think that's a good way to describe serpent people. Um, as much as they are very much present within their body, they have high instincts, bodily wisdom, pulling memories from their bodies and genes easily than others, whatnot, into sports, working out, dancing, all physical activities. They have charisma, you know, they're into science, or they can be very much into science and stuff. But at the core of it, they're like, but what is life though? And it could be something that many people may not even know about serpent people, right? About serpents people, not certain serpent. This can be a quality that I think it is actually, because of how reserved serpent people can be from the outside. When people look at you, they may not understand unless you vocalize it, that how deep your mind is actually going. Especially when they look on the outside and they see you into all this physical, bodily, externally kind of ish type stuff. They wouldn't know that your mind kind of like goes that deep or wanders into that area of like, but I really want to know though. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this life really about? It's kind of like you got yourself a body, the soul got a body. Um, boom, boom, boom. Like you can do all this cool shit with it, but there's this longing to know the life that actually operates the body, which is what you are, your own essence. Uh, so yeah, to ultimately seek answers. Just some other stuff. Serpent people can become very powerful sorcerers. Um, they can use their personal charisma and power to bend others to their will. They also have a natural psychosexual and magical energy. They can be into black magic, or what people might call black magic. To be fair, there's just magic. There's just possibilities. The bias or the what you want to call it. The preference comes from people's, I suppose, people's preference for, okay, what is constructive or destructive, what is for the balance of humanity, and what is going to disrupt the balance or well-being of humanity or society and community, that type of stuff. But whatever. This energy is at its core. Would I say it's indifferent? Let me not go there. I don't want to confuse myself and you. Mm, Serpent people are indeed more capable than others of mobilizing such forces and using them to dominate and control those around them if they wanted to. But this is not very common and represents the most negative manifestation of this day sign. And it can represent people's fears of if they had that one serpent nigga who was, went all the way dark side and they all scared of him. So now they're a bit, cautious of anyone born under the day of the serpent. They're like, okay, is he gonna be like one of him? But like, 99% of the time they're not gonna wind up being that crazy. You're not gonna have Voldemort every day. But he gave Slytherin a whole, you know, um, reputation if you ever watched Harry Potter, which is actually really interesting when you think of a black sorcerer. I mean, like a black magic, like an evil sorcerer to the nth degree. Voldemort was kind of like that, and he was in the club of Slytherin, which is the club of the snakes, or their archetype is the snake, so that's one element of it to a degree. If you ever watched Harry Potter, I don't know if you did, but that's a reference for you. Mm. The surplus of this cosmic life force energy usually keeps serpent native people extremely healthy and vital, thus endowing them with great longevity. Again, life force, of course, it's within the territory that you would have more life, you'd be more healthier, might live longer, yada yada, feel more vital. Um, yeah, all are fierce, but most are good. They're just very intense. Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Anyway, I hope this helped to kind of help you understand on a much more deeper level this Koyopa thing, this serpent energy thing. I just felt like I could do this thing for you real quick. This was just part one. How long is this? This is 52 minutes. Whenever I do a Mayan day sign breakdown, it takes at least an hour and a half or an hour, depending on how much information there is. And within your tree of life, there are there are 9 signs, but 7 different signs actually, or 8. I think 8. Yeah, and it could take me like if I was to go in depth in all those signs, going from the childhood stage to the adult stage to the mature stage of life, we're talking about what? Fucking more than 9 hours of me recording and explaining information to bring it to you. I remember the last girl I did it for. It took me all month to put this shit together for her. You know, but there's just so much information in this, and there's so many ways to sort of break it down and make it more clearer, make it more like help you become more aware of your own potentials, right? And that can even help you be able to take advantage of your potential even more consciously. You know, kind of like okay, now you get to know that you're Spider-Man. Now you get to take yourself more seriously and train harder to be an even better Spider-Man. Because every superhero, when they understand their superpower, they got to do what? They have the responsibility to work on it and master it and excel at it. So similar kind of thing going on when people understand the potentials and possibilities of their archetype, of what they are more, or of what their consciousness is inclined to, they can take great advantage of that. And that's part of why I do this, so people can take great advantage of their essence or their qualities, and do so more confidently and bravely, because some people might feel like they're different from others, or they might not know why. Yeah, sorry about that. That was my mother calling me to close the balcony. It's raining right now. What was I saying? Yeah, I lost my train of thought. But I was saying, yeah, to move forward more confidently into who you are. Because some people might have, like, when they realize how different they are, or other people are not like them, they can start to second guess themselves. And should I assimilate and be more like everyone else? Should I be more unique? Yada, yada, yada. Understanding that people occupy different colors of the spectrum, so to speak, right? Then it's a lot more easier to do your best job to shine within the band of intelligence that you occupy, right? Like, why not? If you're red, be good at being red, because if not, we're gonna miss a whole spectrum of color. A whole spectrum of reality is gonna be missing if you don't do your diligence to express yourself the way that you are and share it, you know. So yeah, I like to help people feel more confident in doing that. Anyway, that's part one. All that shit I just said is part one, and part two, like I said, is even more deeper than part one. If you want part two, just let me know. I'll do one for you. On the house, my nigga, on the house, because I like this kind of stuff, and I'm in the mood to sort of get into the Mayan day sign stuff more anyway. So yeah, that is Serpent Sign. This is part one. Thank you for listening. If you did this long, and have yourself a good day. Hope this was great for you. Hope this. Let me know how this was for you. I would really genuinely like to know how you resonated with anything so far here. And like I said, if you want part two, let a brother know. All right, peace.